Hi, I'm Lindsay Kaplan and I'm the computing lead at Irlam Primary School. This means that it's my job to make sure that computing is being taught the very best it can and that your children are getting the very best computing provision that they possibly can. I'm very proud of the computing at our school and I want to tell you a little bit about it today. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is some of the devices that we use at Irlam Primary School. So the children have access to a computer suite, which has lots of desktop computers. They can also use tablets, and they have access to laptops and Chromebooks. So they have an access to a wide range of different devices, which we think is really important because as children get older, when they get to high school and even in the workplace, they will be expected to know how to use a wide range of devices. So for our computing curriculum, we've chosen to put together a bespoke package of different resources. We use Twinkle for our online safety elements. We use the Teach Computing, or the National Computing Excellence for to teach the children about networks and systems, and we use Espresso for the coding element of the curriculum. And as you can see from the plan, each year group has each half term covers a different element of computing. So as you can see, in autumn 1, the whole school learns about online safety. In autumn 2, everybody learns about computer systems and networks. In term 3 or spring 1, everybody does their coding. Then we've got a data and information and a creating media block in spring, finished with coding in summer. We felt that this meant the children there'd never be a huge gap between doing certain elements of computing, because as we know, children, often forget things, whereas this way, everything is kept fresh and regularly updated. And we also know with computing that things are changing all the time. So this allows us to adapt our curriculum to suit the ever-changing nature of the technology. So we've had a look at what computing looks like in key stages 1 and 2, with children following that long-term plan and having a computing lesson once a week, which might be based in our computer suite or in the classroom. But the next thing I want to look at is, what does computing look like in the early years look like at Irlam Primary School? Now, the EYFS framework is structured very differently to the national curriculum, as it's organised into 7 areas of learning rather than subject areas. So there isn't actually a computing area. But despite computing not being explicitly mentioned within early years, there are so many opportunities for children to use technology to solve problems and produce creative outcomes. The most relevant areas for computing taken from the different areas of learning are in the children's personal, social and emotional development, in their physical development, in their understanding of the world, and in expressive arts and design. So we're going to have a little look at some of that in action. So you can see on the table that it's broken down into 3 and 4 year olds, reception, and then early learning goals. So where technology or computing would fit in into the curriculum of 3 and 4 year olds is asking the children to carry out certain tasks without having to remember rules, without adults having to remind them. Match their developing physical skills to tasks and activities in the setting, and exploring how things work. In reception, that might look like children showing resilience and perseverance in the face of a challenge, knowing and talking about different factors that support their health and well-being, for example, having sensible amounts of screen time. In their physical development, they might be using technology to develop small motor skills, using a range of tools, competently, safely and confidently. And they might also be using technology to explore and use different artistic effects to express their ideas and feelings. Other areas where technology will fit in or computing will fit in is being confident to try new activities and showing independence, resilience and perseverance, explaining the reasons for rules. So again, knowing right from wrong and trying to behave accordingly. That would link in with our online safety. And then finally, using and exploring a variety of materials, tools and techniques, experimenting with colour, design, texture, form and function. So that could be simply a child drawing a picture, or it could be them creating an image on the computer. And here are some photographs that I've taken from our early years setting to show where that would fit in, what that would look like in the classroom, from the children sitting in front of the screen, singing along to a song, using the technology as a stimulus, to them exploring the materials with the magnets and looking at wires and the insides of different pieces of machinery, to using the Chromebooks. We've got telephones there, torches. So it's a very, very practical use of technology and allowing the children to explore it in a variety of different ways. So, as I said before, online safety is covered by everybody in the first half term. As well as teaching online safety, that first half term, we make sure that this is covered throughout the year. This is part of our safeguarding as well. So it's consolidated through all the other computing units. We have regular updates and reminders when new issues arise. We participate in Safer Internet Day every year. We have regular assemblies, and any online issues are recorded on CPOMS, which is our safeguarding system, so that we can identify any patterns of behaviour and deal with those as quickly as possible. So online safety goes through all elements of our safeguarding and through all elements of Irlam Primary School to ensure that our children are well-educated digital citizens. One of the other things that we do in school, we learn about inspirational and significant people in all elements of the curriculum, and this includes computing. So here are some of the people that your children will be learning about in years 1 and 2, and years 3 and 4, and years 5 and 6. So you can see lots of different inspirational people that the children will be learning about. And this helps them to realise that they're not just learning a subject because they have to, but actually this subject can lead to better opportunities, and, you know, it's to inspire the children for their future. So as well as using devices for computing, we also make use of our devices in other areas of school. So for example, we use laptops for reading recovery. We have a library system which the children use to check out and check in books. We use it for research in other subjects and for other educational activities and games. So lots of wider use of computing across the school. Now, don't just take my word for it. What do our children say about computing? Well, Alex in year 3 says it's fun because you get to search and learn. I like the coding because you get to control objects and make them do tricks. Jeremiah in year 4 says he likes computing because it's really fun. I also like using the devices to play maths games. Jacob in year 5 says he enjoys computing because he likes learning about systems. It's fun learning coding, and it's also helpful with other subjects. And finally, Ryan in year 6 says he likes coding because you can use your imagination. I also like researching because you can find the answers to questions. So our children really enjoy their computing lessons, and you hear that when you tell them that it's computing that afternoon. There is always a resounding yes in the classroom, which tells you we're doing something right. Now, when it was home learning and we were in lockdown, computing was so important. We used our computers and our devices to stay in touch. We used them for our lessons, doing tutorial videos, and of course for our assemblies that we put out regularly. And it was so important that the children could use their computing skills to access their home learning. And we are always looking for ways to make access to the internet as safe and as enjoyable for the children as possible. So that's been a little snapshot of computing here at Irlam Primary School. I hope it's been informative, and I hope it's helped giving you a little bit of insight. But if you would like any further information, you can email me at lindsay.kaplan@salford.gov.uk, and I will be happy to answer any of your questions.